What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers, and welcome to UFC Vegas 44 Best Bet, where me, Wheezy, MMA Lock of the Night, and Narco Cop are all going to give the best bet for each and every fight on the card. We are now down to 13 fights. Unfortunately, we did lose Jared Vandera as a mat, and then we also lost Jeremiah Wells, Jake Matthews. Two very good fights are now off the card, so that sucks, but still, 13 fights. I think it should be a good card. As always, we'll go through it fight by fight. We'll talk about our favorite bet, and as always, there's only two rules. Rule number one, we're going to use current UFC lines. And then rule number two, there is no passing as well. So I'll kick it to these guys. Uncle Wheezy, what is up? You looking forward to this card?
Definitely looking forward to this card, man. It's always tough after a week off. You know, you as a content creator, you don't mind having the week off and getting a little bit of a break. But then all of a sudden you realize how empty your life is without the UFC. So we're back at it, man. We got 13 fights to talk about. I can't wait to get into it with you guys.
For sure. Shout out to Wheezy for coming on as always. And then MMA Lock of the Night making his second appearance on the show. What is up, Lock?
Nothing much, man. I'm happy to jump on. I know the last time was kind of short-lived. I think I was only on with you guys for about 20 minutes or so, but I got a full hour ahead with you guys. I can't wait to break down these fights, and it's always good when we got some friendly company in tow. We got Narco, Wheezy, obviously yourself, Brady. So I appreciate the invite, and yeah, ready to dig into these fights.
For sure. Appreciate you coming on. And then also Narco Cop. Narco, what is up? You looking forward to this card?
What's up, Brady? Yeah, always looking forward to these UFC fights. We had a week off. Back in the saddle with my buddy here, man, Crute, and Uncle Wheezy, and of course you, Brady. So yeah, let's get it.
Yeah, I think this card is going to be very good. A lot of these fights are going to be very fun. So doing a shout out the chat before we get started. If you all can please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Sosa, first one in the chat. We have Buffalo on the beat, SB, the Gaming Wolf, PSSA2 hanging out. We got Sean, Mateo, Mitchell, SB, Mac, Lova, Tristan, Dave saying kiss me. I don't know what's somebody always in the chat tells me to kiss him. I don't know why, but shout out to Dave Crack for that. Gaming Wolf in the chat. We have Mitchell in the chat. I appreciate all hanging out. Smash the like button. But I say we get started. We're going to kick off the fight with a banger. Luis Smolka, Vince Morales. We'll start with you, Wheezy. What is your best bet for this first fight of the night?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. You know, these curtain jerkers, they tend to finish inside the distance way more times than they don't. And then we've got a guy like Smolka, you know, fighting in this fight. I like Smolka to win this fight, but I'm a little bit more intrigued by the fight doesn't go to decision and by Smolka inside the distance here. And we look at Smolka's last 5 fights. Win by knockout, loss by submission, win by knockout, loss by submission, win by submission. And when you go back and you watch the tape on Smolka, you can see why this happens, you know. He pushes a pace the entire time that he's in there, whether it's on the feet, whether it's up against the cage, whether it's on the ground, whether it's scrambling. You know, Smolka is just trying to finish people, and love his fights where fight doesn't go to decision. And it's not like we're paying juice here. It's about plus 100. But on the other side of that, Morales' last 5 fights, win unanimous decision, loss knockout, loss unanimous decision, win unanimous decision, and loss unanimous decision. So is that violence, is that pace that Smolka always brings going to be enough to make this fight finish? I think what I want to do is get even greedier, guys, and just go Smolka inside the distance at like about plus 200 right now on DraftKings. I think that's the way to go. I think he's really going to push the pace here, bring the chaos, and find a way to finish this fight on the ground by submission.
Yep, looks like me and you are on the same page there. I went with Smolka inside the distance as well, plus 200. The guy has the 89% finish rate. His last 5 fights, like you said, have all finished inside the distance. I think he's going to have a big advantage on the mat here. I think he does get it to the mat and probably submit Morales. Curious to see what the submission is. Smolka by submission plus 420 on FanDuel. I don't think that's crazy as well. So those are kind of the two things I'm looking at. Locke, what are you looking at for this first fight of the night?
I'm pretty much echoing exactly what you guys just said. I'm on the Smolka side here as well. I got some on his money line. I actually haven't parlayed with something else that we'll talk about a little bit later in the card, just because I got a little bit greedy. That's just my nature for this card. But I do like him even straight as a straight bet around minus 155. I think it's a great spot. I'm not big on Morales at all, honestly. I just think he's really the bottom of the barrel in this division. The wins that he's gotten, Ayman Zahabi, and then obviously Draco Rodriguez last time around, those guys allowed him to kind of just fight his fight, which is just stay at distance and let his boxing go That's not what Louis Smolka is going to do. Smolka is going to be in his face the entire time. If Morales had a little bit more knockout power, I'd be a little bit more concerned, considering that Smolka can get hit and he is, quite hittable. But I've been seeing the narrative kind of been floating around that like Smolka needs to get this fight to the ground to have success. I kind of disagreed. Like that's how I see him getting the win, is eventually getting the fight to the ground. But even if this goes the full 15 minutes and we get a striking battle, I think the judges will possibly see, Smolka kind of moving forward, dishing out the damage, dishing out the output, and just really putting it on Morales. I'd be surprised if Morales withstands that type of pressure for 15 minutes here. So I like Smolka inside the distance. You guys are absolutely on the money there. And one thing I'll say before I pass it on over to you guys, I figured out not to get super greedy with the submission or the knockout prop. And the one that always sticks to me to this day, Tyron Woodley against Darren Till, where I took him by knockout and he goes out there and pulls off a fucking dart stroke for some reason, right? But you can't cap that type of stuff. So instead of getting greedy, let's just go with the inside the distance. And that's what I'm looking here with Smolka. Even at plus 200, I think it's a damn good spot.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely do agree. Like when Paul Craig, got won by TKO against Jamal Hill, Werner Rebel won by TKO against Murata. Yeah, those definitely do hurt. So I think the inside the distance is probably the best way to go. Narco, how about you? Are you on the same page with us? You on the Smolka side? Or are you looking at something else?
I guess I'm on the opposite side. I like Morales here, actually. The plus 135 tag, I have a bet on him at plus 130. It's a little higher now, but for me, like Smolka's last fight, man, I wasn't really impressed. I mean, I know he got the finish, but Quinones won that first round, and he was hitting Smolka a ton in that first round. I just think Morales is the better striker here on the feet, and Morales, he looked good against Draco. I thought it was a close fight, and I think the trajectory on these two guys are going opposite ways. That's just how I see it, and I think Morales at plus money here is the bet for me.
There we go. A little bit of disagreement. I like it. Let's see what the guys in the chat are saying. Thomas saying, give me Smolka. Let's see. Yeah, the fights tonight, they're like very, very good. I wish we had 15, but still 13 is not bad. Gaming Wolf liking the plus 200 inside the distance there. Smoke inside the distance. Nice, says Sosa. Yep. Interesting fight. I think it's going to start off the card very good, though. Next fight, we have Claudio Puelles going against Chris Gruetzemacher. There we go. MMA lock of the night. What are you liking for this one here?
I actually went with the Puelles side here. Now, obviously, we saw a ton of money come in on him. I think we had Gruetzemacher open up around minus 160, minus 170, and now we got to pick him, right? Puelles really upset a lot of people last time around where he was able to get that victory over Jordan Levitt. A lot of people were writing him off, right? He was coming off an extended layoff, and everybody thought that Levitt would do what Levitt does, but in my opinion, Levitt's trash, man. The guy has a ground game, and that's really about it. His striking kind of sucks, and if he can't get his ground game going, he's going to get beaten, and that's exactly what happened with Puelles. On the flip side here with Gruetzemacher, big one last time against Rafa Garcia. He has that gritty style, right? Like that's pretty much his nickname, Grits. He likes to go out there. He relies on his durability, comes forward and really puts pressure on his opponents. But I think that Puelles will have some success in the striking range when it's there. Obviously, he'll be on his back foot, so that's a little bit of a concern. But I think the takedowns will eventually be there for him. Will he be able to hold Gruetzemacher down? I don't think so, but I think he'll be able to land enough takedowns at opportune moments to sway the judges in his favor. I like Puelles. I like Puelles by decision. I don't think the submission prop is that bad at plus 350 either. We've seen Grits get tied up in the past as well. I think Puelles' ground game has been super underrated, as we obviously saw in the Levitt fight, and he does a good job in terms of just staying like a step ahead of his opponents in those scrambling and those transitioning scenarios, and I think he could do that here against Grits. It's going to be a tough fight. I'm happy with the pickup number that I got. Obviously, we see now he's up to minus 135. The confidence is coming in on Puelles. I have that confidence, but by no means is it like a lock of the night play or anything like that. I think it's a decent shot at even money where I felt like Puelles should be the slight favorite. So yeah, I got Puelles by decision, but wouldn't mind a little stab at the submission prop either.
Yep. I mean, I'm on the same page. I'm on Puelles as well. I bet him a couple weeks ago at plus 120. And I'll be honest, I would not bet him here at minus 135. If I was to bet anything at this point, it probably would be the Puelles by submission because that really does stick out. Plus 475 on BetOnline. The reason being is Gruetzemacher has been submitted 3 of his 4 losses. If you got in early on Puelles, I think that's great. I think he is the side, but the minus 135, that is starting to scare me a little bit. I think it's a close fight. I think whoever's going to be able to implement their game plan is going to get done. If Puelles gets to the ground, I think a submission is likely. So plus 475, I think that's pretty juicy there. Wheezy, How about you? What do you like for this fight?
So I already have a 1-unit bet on Puelles here at plus 100 that I got way earlier in the week, obviously. But I want to pivot off of that for you guys because the line has moved so much and we want to deal with the current lines that are available right now. What I did last night was just to sprinkle Gruetzemacher knockout props in the second and the third round, right? So I did an 1/8 of a unit on the first round, or I mean on the second round knockout prop, which was plus 1,500. And in the third, it's plus 1,700. So I kind of put an 1/8 on each of those to try to get some exposure because, you know, this is a striker versus grappler matchup here. And Puelles over his UFC career has controlled his opponents over 51% of his UFC cage time. And we've seen Gruetzemacher, on the other hand, get controlled, I think, a little over 30% of his UFC cage time. So there's a path there for Puelles to wrestle, to get this fight to the ground and to win minutes there and potentially get a submission. But if he doesn't, the longer this fight goes on, Gruetzemacher's got a pretty good get-up game. He's got a little bit of a wrestling background in his own right, but his takedown defense has never been great. So if Puelles can't take him down and keep him down, I could see Gruetzemacher having some success later on in this fight, pushing the pace. He throws a lot of volume. He never stops coming forward. He works the body where we've seen Puelles have some problems before. So even though I have a 1-unit bet on Puelles at plus 100, I sprinkled a 1/4 unit in total of those second and third round knockout props for Gruetzemacher.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. Narco, what are you on in this fight? And also, what are your thoughts on this line movement? I mean, I'm kind of confused why the line is moving where it's at. Shout out to Clint. He does the post weigh-in show, and he was talking about how Puelles looked amazing on the scales and how Gruetzemacher looked kind of off. I mean, you take a look at Puelles, he's training at Stanford MMA, and I was looking at Gruetzemacher's Instagram. Looks like he's training in his garage. He's training in like his driveway. So, yeah, and at the weigh-ins, I do agree with Clint that, you know, Gruetzemacher did not look all that good. So, Narco, what are your thoughts on this line movement, and then what do you like in this fight?
So, I think the line movement is based on, you know, Puelles landing takedowns against this guy. People are a little more confident in him landing takedowns against Gruetz. Can he hold him down? I don't think so. Kind of like what you guys said. I taped this late, like I said, but I did jump on Puelles at minus 115, just because I do think he is going to land takedowns. But I think most of those takedowns are going to come early, which I did hedge with Gruetzemacher round 3 at plus 1,800. I just think that, you know, Gruetz is tough. He's going to make Puelles work. And I do think come third round, I think he's going to have the better cardio here later. And I do see him kind of, you know, probably landing in that third round. The one thing I did see is that third round against Garcia. Garcia was dead tired, but he still landed takedowns against Gruetz. So can Puelles land takedowns even late in this fight? Yeah, but I think he's going to be tired at that point. And I do honestly think Gruetz is live to get a knockout in that third round, which, you know, Uncle Weezy stated, which I don't mind whatsoever. But I do have a bet on Puelles, minus 115.
Sounds good to me. Looks like we're all on the same page there, especially you and Weezy are playing it about the same there. We'll move on to the next fight. We have Alonzo Menifield going against William Knight. We'll start with you, Weezy. What do you like him for this fight here?
Sorry, my mute button was a little messed up. So I like Menifield in this fight, and I've just never really been that high on Knight. And the one thing that I've seen Knight do well and have some success with is using that wrestling. And, you know, Menifield's shown really nice takedown defense thus far in the UFC. They're both great athletes. I think they're both really kind of good at the same things. It's just that I'm seeing a little more growth at this point out of Menifield. The way he took down Charant and just finished him was really impressive. And, you know, these guys, they do have that common opponent in Charant. And, you know, I just didn't see much out of that Knight. I was surprised that shot knocked out Charant. And frankly, Knight wasn't having any success before that. I kind of think Menifield's just better than him everywhere. But he did show a lot of patience last time. So I would just say go for that minus 160 on the Menifield money line. Don't get too greedy and try to take Menifield inside the distance here. I could see him getting it done inside the distance, but I just kind of feel like Menifield's better everywhere. I think the safest bet is just that minus 160 on the Menifield money line.
Wheezy liking the -160 there. Narco, what are you looking at for this fight?
Yeah, I actually really like Menifield in this spot. I think it's a good matchup for him. I bet him at -145. I still think I would play him at, whatever -148, 150 range. I just think he's the way better striker here. Going back and looking at that Sharant fight, like Uncle Easy said, like William Knight was on the back foot a lot, and then he eventually got that weird knockout where he caught him like with a check left hook or whatever it was behind the ear. But man, Menifield, it really impressed me with his calf kicking. Also, last fight, just looked like a much better fighter. His cardio was much better than we've seen. So I think he's growing a lot more than Knight has, and I just feel like Knight is very, very, very raw still. The guy has. He's very powerful, very explosive, but what else does the guy bring really to the table? When you go back and watch the fight against, Jung, I mean, he got completely dominated and destroyed, taken down over and over and completely grounded. I even think Menifield can land takedowns here if he wants to, but why would he want to when he's so much better on the feet? So, yeah, I just think Menifield here, it's a great spot for him. I'd probably play him up to like 175, 180 range.
Yeah, it makes sense. I definitely think Menifield's, the better fighter in this fight. I'm just a little bit hesitant on him. I know he went 3 rounds with Ed Herman, and his cardio looked a lot better, but I'm curious to see what his cardio looks like if William Knight pushes a pace unlike Ed Herman did. But yeah, I think Menifield is going to have a lot of advantages here. I guess the one thing that sticks out is like William Knight has like a 33% striking defense, like one of the worst striking defenses you'll ever see on paper. I think Menifield starches him early. But what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to take the fight doesn't go to decision. And I'm kind of surprised it's here at -170. Both guys have a 90% finish rate. Both guys have combined for 2 decision wins. I personally think Menifield starches him in the first round, but if not, if he does slow down like he did in the OSB fight, like he did in the Clark fight, William Knight, what he does well, he actually has good cardio. So yeah, I don't hate the fight doesn't go decision. Covers Menifield early and then Knight late. I'm not completely sold on Menifield's cardio yet. Going to a decision with Ed Herman is not, it does not really show me a ton. So give me the fight doesn't go, covers both sides. They're actually open at -325, which that's, probably where it should be. But yeah, -170 now. Locke, how about you? What are you liking for this fight?
Again, I know rule number 1 is no passing. I personally want to pass this fight in total. I have absolutely no idea. I do lean on the Alonzo Menifield side. I do think he is the better fighter. Again, Narco kind of touched on it. Like William Knight's like his best ability is his athleticism, right? That's pretty much what brought him to the big show. And we see that with a lot of these guys that come to the big show just based off of athleticism alone from the regional scene, where they're able to just knock these fools out because they're just not ready to compete against physical specimens like a guy like William Knight. But once they get to the UFC, then they start facing the tougher competition. And that's exactly what we saw in that Dao Eun fight for William Knight. I don't, Alonzo Menifield comes out there with his wrestling singlet or anything like that, but I wouldn't mind seeing him kind of take the same approach in the Ed Herman fight, which is do everything light, nice and early, right? Just throw out a leg kick here and there, just throw a couple combinations. Don't gas yourself out, especially if you're not able to get that knockout nice and early here. I was leaning the over. -175 is just not that intriguing for the over 1.5. Even Alonzo Menifield now up to -160, definitely not intriguing to me. But if you're forcing me to make a pick, it's going to be the Menifield side, and the other one would be the over 1.5. And just a Clint tinfoil hat conspiracy theory kind of thing. Menifield by decision. I think that's sitting at what, +450. If he does choose to slow it down, it's wow, a ton of money coming in on that. It seems +240 now. It's down to. Yet again, I wish that was in the +400s, and I'd probably take a little bit of a stab. But I wouldn't mind seeing him take a nice slow approach like he did in that Ed Herman fight, and possibly just dragging out a decision here. Yeah, I want nothing to do with this fight. I might even just go take my dog for a walk during this fight as well, because I just want nothing to do with it. I'm tired of talking about it, dude. They're scheduled, 2 times already? I'm sure you guys, us content creators, have already covered this fight tremendously over the last couple months. Let's just get it over with. Let's move on.
It feels like we've talked about it like a million times. But yeah, Menifield by decision +250, Knight by decision +575. Ooh. But yeah, it's a fight I don't have any action on myself, but if I was to play something, it would be that fight doesn't go, but I'm going to stay away. Mallory Martin, Cheyenne Vlistmas. Speaking of staying away, don't have much on this fight, but we got to find something here. I'm actually not going to kick this off because I don't know yet. So I'll kick it off to you, Weezy. Help me out. What's sticking out to you in this fight?
Yeah, not a lot sticking out. I mean, really, I'm always more of a statistics guy, but this is a narrative thing for me where Vlistmas is just coming off of COVID 2 weeks ago, and she even admitted in an interview that it messed her up. So she had a fight scheduled a couple of weeks ago, got canceled because she came down with COVID. She battled it, and now she's out on the other side. She's COVID negative, but Mallory Martin was supposed to have an opponent that, was supposed to fight Ruiz, the girl who headlocked Vlistmas for 3 rounds. So, Martin was already supposed to fight, but, there's a lot of red flags on both of these girls. We've seen Martin submitted by Virna Jandiroba, which is no big deal. Virna's really, really good on the ground, but, to get armbarred from guard by Polyana Viana, that's bad. Evidently, her knees are completely destroyed, but she can wrestle. And if she can push a wrestling heavy game plan in Mallory Martin, I think she can win this fight, because if there's any kind of residual effects from the COVID here for Vlistmas, the short notice, the other personal things that are going on in her life, I could see, Mallory Martin at plus money if the knees hold up, if the wrestling can be there for 3 rounds. Mallory Martin at plus money right now, and it's what, plus 140? Plus 155, I'm showing, plus 160 even in one spot. That'd probably be the way I'd go, but I would just sprinkle it because I don't have any confidence on this fight.
Yeah, I have no confidence as well. You mentioned the COVID stuff. Like, that is a huge red flag. I don't know. Minus 200 for Shine Vlistmas just seems a little crazy to me. I think it's probably dog or pass. For me, I am on the Vlistmas side. I think she's going to be able to stuff takedowns. I think that Hannah Cyphers fight was a really bad look. I mean, getting 10-8'd by Hannah Cyphers is not good. I think, from what I've seen outside of the Ruiz fight, Vlistmas has very good takedown defense. If she's able to keep it upright, I think she does outpoint Martin to a decision. But like you said, if COVID has affected her at all, it could get very ugly. Instead of laying the minus 200, give me Vlistmas by decision, plus 110, plus 105. I think that's what I'd take if I had to. Locke, how about you? What do you like over this fight?
Similar to the Menifield fight, I want nothing to do with either of these because I just don't feel like they're trustworthy enough for this stylistic matchup specifically, right? I did have Vlistmas in their last fight against Gloria DePaula because I thought that was a great stylistic matchup. I thought she'd be able to use her grappling, but we didn't need it. We got a minute knockout, I believe it was, so happy to cash that there. But here against Martin, man, I could see instances where Martin does get the better of certain wrestling exchanges and scenarios and where she ends up on top outside of the Ruiz fight, which, again, it's an asterisk for me. I don't even count that when I'm trying to break down fights. The only thing that we can really extract is Cheyenne might have issues getting out of bad positions. But again, there is not much tape on her off of her back outside of that Ruiz fight, which gives me some concern here. And then Martin, again, her bread and butter is out wrestling, getting the fight to the ground. But you see her getting submitted off her, on top a couple of times, and you're just like, do you really want to pull the trigger on again? I know she's the plus 160 dog here, and that's kind of, if you were putting a gun to my head and telling me to choose a money line here, I would rather go the Martin side than the Vlistmas side, especially with the value that we potentially get on the Martin side. But yeah, I'd go Martin decision. I know the overs are juiced as hell, but I do see this one going the full 15. I'd rather be on the Martin side personally, but I'm putting no money on this fight.
Yeah, 100% feel you there. Narco, how about you? What do you like over this fight?
Yeah, kind of similar to you guys. I want nothing to do with this. Too many narratives. I mean, first of all, you're talking about COVID. The other girl's knees are shot. Why do you even want to put any money on this fight? Like, stay away as far as away as you can. But if you took away the COVID, I probably play Vlistmas by decision. Plus 115, 110 range. I just think she's the better fighter. But, like COVID, in a short time span where she's admitting like she didn't train well and she, like, I want nothing to do with that. So, yeah, I mean, if I took a side, it's Vlistmas and her by decision at, plus 115 or 110 range.
Sounds good. Look like we're all on the same page there for the most part, but it looks like we're all not looking forward to really put any action on the fight. So I'll move on to the next one. So Jake Matthews, Jeremiah Wells, unfortunately, is off. Was really looking forward to that fight. But we do have Brian Barberena going against Darion Weeks. Yeah, really looking forward to this one. Every single Brian Barberena fight for the most part is a banger. So, yeah, curious to your guys' thoughts on this one. We'll start with you, Narco. What are you liking for this fight here?
I have a bet on Brian Barberena at minus 126. I like him here. Like Weeks has fought a real low level of opposition. Can he land takedowns maybe early? Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to keep Barberena down at all. He does show some power, but Barberena's fought everyone. The guy's a UFC vet. I just think that he didn't look good against Jason Witt, and I'll admit it. And Jason Witt is not high on the totem pole for me. But Darian Weeks on short notice going up against a vet like this, man, I just think it's a good spot for Barberena in a step down against the guy that, again, he's fought really, really low level competition. So yeah, give me Barberena at minus 120, 130 range.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough fight to call because you have Brian Barberena who's fought the who's who, so much more experience at it that it's crazy. But yeah, like you said, I think he might be, about done. I think he's a little bit washed. So yeah, very tough fight to call for me. MMA lock of the night. What do you think of for this one?
It's always crazy seeing the market overreaction at times from a fighter's last performance, right? We're getting it here with Brian Barberena. We're kind of getting it with Jamal Hill as well, even though, we might have differing opinions on that matchup. But like Barberena minus 300, minus 320 against Jason Witt, ends up losing that fight. And now all of a sudden people are betting against him with the 5-0 short notice newcomer that, he does have a decent wrestling game of his own. Not impressed with his ability to keep the fight on the ground. So I do think that Barberena will be able to work back to his feet. And then it does seem like Weeks has a little bit of a cardio issue, right? When fights do start to get extended, he starts to slow down a little bit and things don't really go his way. And talk about the step up in competition as well, right? Going from those guys he's fighting on the regional scene now to Brian Barberena. That's a huge step up. Say what you want about Barberena and where he's at in his career. This should be a winnable fight for him as long as he, can get back to his feet. Because I do think that Weeks will land a couple of takedowns early in this fight. It's just, is he going to be able to sustain that over 15 minutes? I just don't see it happening. So I like Barberena minus 140-ish. I haven't made a bet or anything on it myself, but I wouldn't even mind a little bit of a sprinkle on that Barberena round 3 prop as well, as I do think that he could potentially finish Darian Weeks late in this fight. So you guys know I love that round 3 prop, and I feel like this is a prime spot for us to take advantage of it.
No, I totally agree with everything you're saying. I think Barberena is definitely the side here. I was going to play him personally if he got the plus money. I thought he was going to. It was minus 110 at one point. I didn't pull the trigger. He's now minus 140. I think he probably is the side, but to be safe, I actually do really like the under 2.5 rounds. I did personally bet it at minus 125. It's now minus 140. I still like that. Darian Weeks in his 5 professional fights has never seen the third round, and Barberena is typically a very good finisher. And typically, Barberena is very tough, but we have seen his durability might be diminishing a little bit. I think the Luque fight took a lot out of him, multiple back surgeries. And, Jason Witt dropped him in his last fight. So I think Darian Weeks, would it shock me if he came out here and starched Brian Barberena early? No, it would not really. But I think the more likely scenario is Weeks coming in on short notice, having success early, and then maybe gassing out. And then I think Barb's going to take over and finish him late. So I'm kind of with you, Locke. I think Barb finished him in the 2nd or 3rd round, but I'm going to take the under 2.5 rounds to kind of cover both sides there. So give me the under 2.5 rounds, minus 140. I see it minus 125 still on some books. Wheezy, how about you? What do you like for this fight?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one. I think Locke really and Narco Cop really nailed it when they were just saying, this is a little bit of recency bias right here. I mean, this guy Weeks has 5 professional fights. The last guy that he fought was coming up a weight class on less than 48 hours notice. So, what is this guy going to bring that he hasn't seen already from Leon Edwards, that he hasn't seen already from Colby Covington, that he hasn't seen already from Vicente Luque? I think if you were to get Weeks where he opened at about plus 180, that would be interesting. But come on, man, this is really disrespectful to a veteran like Brian Barberena, who has, really shown a lot of grit and a lot of toughness in the UFC, fighting some really tough opponents here. This is a tough road to hoe to make your UFC debut with only 5 professional fights against a guy like, Brian Barberena on short notice too. You got to believe that the Barberena money line is the best side here, but the round 3 prop that Narco Cop was talking about is very intriguing as well. Or was that you, Locke? It was Locke. It was Locke. And I got to tell you, man, I've before I started doing content creation, I was listening to guys like Locke and Brady, and Clint, and my love for third round props comes from you guys, and I'm on a third round prop here with Gruetzemacher. I'm looking at one here for Barberena because, who knows what kind of adrenaline dump Weeks is going to have after round one, especially if he tries to wrestle Brian Barberena. And that'd probably be the best way for him to win this fight because Barberena has like 60% takedown defense. It's not very good. It's why Witt was successful in his last fight. So, I think Barberena, though, at minus 126 available on FanDuel right now, is about as good a price as you're going to get for a huge veteran coming up against a guy that's making his UFC debut on short notice with only 5 professional fights.
I have a feeling we're going to watch the fights tonight. We're going to look back at this moment and say, my God, Brian Barberena was minus 126. We'll see, though. Looking forward to this fight, looking to see how Brian Barberena performs. But next fight, we have Zhalgas Zhumagulov going against Manel Kape. Definitely should be a fun one. We'll start with you, Narco Cop. What do you like for this fight here?
Actually, this might be my favorite spot on the card. I like fight goes to decision here at minus 165, man. Zhumagulov, extremely tough, extremely durable, throws hard, but doesn't get a lot of knockouts. Manel Kape, same thing, very, very durable. If Zhumagulov tries to wrestle here, Manel Kape has really good wrestling defense. I mean, he can wrestle himself, I believe, here if he wants to. Manel Kape, the much more athletic guy here. I do think, this line is a tad wide, the money line here. But, this fight goes to decision, man. Zhumagulov, extremely durable. Again, Kape, I doubt he gets submitted by Zhumagulov here. And, it's just a great spot for me. My favorite spot on the card.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see it going to decision. I'm going to get a little different here. My best bet's actually going to be Zhalgas Zhumagulov plus 240 if I had to pick something here. I have no bet on this fight, but I really struggle to see why Manel Kape is minus 300 on some books, because if he does not get a finish in this fight, this is going to look really close. I mean, we know how Manel Kape fights. Lots of running around, lots of dancing, not a lot of output. I feel like in terms of the numbers, it's going to look very competitive. Manel Kape probably lands the harder shots, but I think the volume is going to be very, very close. So the minus 300, if he's not getting a finish, like this fight is going to look a lot closer. So if anything, I think Zhalgas plus 240 is getting a little crazy, like plus 255 on some books. I think that's nuts. So I'm going to take Zhalgas for my best bet here. How about you, Locke? What do you like for this fight?
I don't hate the Zhalgas pick, man. I was really considering it myself earlier this week as well. I think that the footwork of Kape is just going to give him some issues in terms of being able to catch him and land the combinations as Zhalgas normally lands. He lands some pretty decent output of his own, which is very, very intriguing, especially in a fight against Manel Kape, who just fights very close to his opponents. Right, that's why he dropped his first 2 fights to Nicolau and Pantoja. He's just a little bit too lackadaisical at times, and I'm gonna reiterate what Narco Cop said, man. I like the fight goes to decision here as well. I actually do have it in a parlay with something later on in this card, but I love that spot, man. Zhalgas, very durable, like Narco was saying. Manel Kape, he knocked out O'Day Osborne last time around. He's had a couple knockouts on the Risen scene, but as you go up in level of competition, again, the knockouts get harder to come by, especially at these lower weight classes. You don't see it happening that often. So I can't pay that minus 300 on Kape. I am picking him to win, but clearly the value is on the Zhumagulov side, in my opinion. It could go either way, but my money is on the fight goes to the decision. I'm hoping we're getting 15 minutes of this with these guys just staring at each other. let's just give it that. I don't care who wins. Just catch me. My fight goes to decision.
I can very well see it. I can very well see this being a very boring fight. Mateo with the donation. Zhalgas is going to shock everyone tonight. Oh, we'll see. Yeah, he's a big dog. I think the second biggest dog on the entire slate. So we'll definitely see. Appreciate the dono, Mateo. Wheezy, what is your best bet for this fight here?
I am staying away from this fight. I am not betting this fight. Now, I want to just address something here. I see why everybody is on the fight goes to decision here. And one of the best ways, in my opinion, to handicap fight goes to decision bets is to find two combatants where you got a decent sample size in the amount of losses, and we have that here. Kape has lost 6 fights. Zhumagulov has lost 5. Zhumagulov has only been finished inside the distance one of those 5 times, and Kape has only been finished inside the distance 2 of those 6 times. So 3 out of 11 combined losses have finished inside the distance. The other 8 haven't. So that screams fight doesn't go to decision here. But here's the problem with that. Right now, Kape's got like about a 75% implied probability to win this fight. And Manel Kape has finished 15 of his 16 wins inside the distance. So if you're thinking that Kape does win this fight, and that happens 75% of the time, according to the odds, and then this guy is a 94% finish rate, it's almost like you feel like there's a 70% chance this fight finishes if that's the way you handicap it. If you look at the fact that Kape is the heavy favorite here. So like the time props for me, I have no interest in the time props for this fight. And I am not paying minus 300 for Manel Kape in this spot. I think he wins the fight. But yeah, I got to echo what you guys are saying. I think like the only value here is just to take the Zhalgas money line. Take him by decision though, because Zhalgas isn't finishing anybody. So I would take Zhalgas by decision. What is that right now?
Like plus 350 around there.
Plus 350. Yeah, that sounds like that's juicy enough that you could put a quarter unit on it and win almost, one. So yeah, I'll that's what I'll say to do. We'll try to get a Zhalgas by decision.
Yep, I agree. I think, like Locke says, Kape, probably does win, but minus 300, it's getting nuts at that point. But we'll move on to the next fight. We have Maki Potolo going against Dusko Todorovic. Should be a very fun fight here. We'll start with Narco. What do you like for this one?
I like coconut bombs here at plus 145. I know he's lost 3 in a row, but to me, he's improved. Like you go back and look at the Marquez fight. I mean, yes, he always gets kind of like, his cardio and then he does stupid things. But man, he was dominating that fight against Marquez until he lost. And you know what? Looking back now, Marquez has ran, a couple of wins in a row. He just beat Alvi, stopped Alvi. And, Mackie, like, always has these shitty moments in fights, but, man, he does well throughout. But I don't know if it's his IQ or when he gets tired and he loses kind of that IQ or what goes on. But to me, he's a good fighter. He's got power. He's got wrestling if he wants it. Like, we saw it against Marquez. He had 5 takedowns in that fight. So, Todorovic, like, he showed something in the last fight against Rodriguez. Showed he's durable. He showed, decent cardio, but I'm just not, I'm not as high on him. Like I was high on him early, but it's gone down with him compared to Mackie where it's gone up. So I think getting a plus 145 here, I do like it because I think Mackie can land takedowns if he wants them here.
Yep, for sure. Potolo plus 145. Narco likes it. How about you, Locke? What do you like for this fight?
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to echo what Narco said there. I do like the Potolo side here as well. I think he's the value spot at plus 145, plus 150. And even his decision prop, I don't think is a bad spot either. I do think he just goes out there and tries to smother Todorovic, grind him up against the cage, try to take him down. That's pretty much where I see him winning this fight. Could he possibly knock him out? I think that's possible. Obviously, we saw Todorovic get knocked out by Punahele Soriano a couple fights ago. Coconut Bomb's got some bombs in them hands, right? He could possibly find that chin of Todorovic, and it doesn't seem like he's really changing much about his striking defense. He's still just does that thing where he just goes straight back, keeps his chin right up in the air. And I think that Potolo could definitely find that chin of his. But I will go with Potolo by decision in this spot. Even Potolo straight money line plus 145. I think it's a great spot. It's crazy also with these guys, right? Both guys coming off the Contender Series with so much hype, and now they're just 1-4 for Maki Potolo, 1-2 for Todorovic. This could be a loser goes home type of scenario as well. So I wouldn't mind seeing some sort of tenacity out of Potolo to really chase that victory in this fight. But I like the Potolo side. I'm going to go decision though.
Potolo by decision plus 470. Like that's crazy. That is very, very nice there.
It was 50 seconds away in his last fight, right? Like, freaking crazy.
Can I say one more thing? Like, Potolo's lost 3 in a row in the UFC and he's still not cut. So, I mean, they do see something out of this guy, So, geez, I didn't even see that decision line, Lock. Thanks for telling me because I might bet that too.
Let's get it.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, I mean, it looks like we're gonna go 3 in a row here. I like Potolo as well. I think I bet him at like plus 145. He's still around there. And the reason being is I think this fight should probably be a pick 'em. I mean, I've never been sold on Dusko from the start, and we got a little bit of hype beating Teddy Ash on the Contender Series. Got some more hype beating Daquan Townsend, and as we know, both those are not impressive wins. And then he goes and he finally gets exposed. Like I was waiting for. I mean, this guy has some of the worst striking defense you'll ever see. Hands down low, chin up in the air, relies a lot on head movement. And you can't do that at this level, especially against a guy that hits hard like a Soriano, like a Maki Potolo. And then he comes against Gregory Rodriguez, and that was like the worst I've ever seen Dusko look. He looked very hesitant. He looked gun shy. He didn't throw barely anything, and when he did throw, it didn't land. He landed at like 29% in that fight. So yeah, I think this guy, like I've never been sold on him, and especially now I'm not. And at least with Maki is I actually had some high hopes for this guy. Yes, he's let me down more often than not, but like you Locke and you Narco are saying, in his last fight against Marquez, I thought he was, fighting for his job. He went in there with a game plan like we never really saw before, with a wrestling heavy game plan, and it was working, but he did gas out a little bit. So, on the feet, I think it's very close. You got the volume of Dusko, but just the striking defense is such a liability that I think it's close on the feet, but I can see Potolo landing shots here and landing hard shots as well. And then, like you said, the wrestling, Dusko has a 50% takedown defense. I can see Potolo winning minutes wrestling here as well. So, yeah, plus 145. This line doesn't really make much sense to me. I think it should be a pick 'em. So I'm going to take Potolo as well, plus 145. And, yeah, that decision prop is pretty juicy there as well. Weezy, how about you? Are you going to make it 4 for 4? Or are you going a different route here?
Yeah, I'm going to go 4 for 4 and say that the value is on Potolo. But there's one thing I can't figure out, guys. It's – like I've been listening to a bunch of other content creators, handicappers talk about this fight. It seems like everybody's on Potolo. I don't know anybody that's laying minus 160 on Dusko Todorovic, but this line has been sitting in exactly the same spot since November 20th. What am I missing here? It seems like everybody's on Potolo. It seems like that everybody kind of agrees that this fight should be about a pick'em. But it's not. It's not a pick 'em. I mean, Todorovic is like a 62% implied probability here. So I don't know what the hell's going on here. I'm not touching it. But if you put a gun to my head, I couldn't pass on Potolo at plus 140. I think everything that I'm seeing just has this fight at being 50-50. And, Potolo's offensive wrestling has been underrated. It's been good. We haven't seen it out of Todorovic. One takedown in all of his UFC fights. So, yeah, man, I think I have to go with Potolo here, but I'm not betting it.
Yep. I mean, we talked about it on Stat Diggers, right? PayPal saying, give me Dusko Potolo as a bum. I think they're both bums, but you're getting a bum that is minus 165 and a bum that is plus 145. Why not take the plus 145 bum? That's kind of how I look at it there. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, Weezy, but good point. I haven't really seen many people on Dusko. But we'll move on to the next fight here. We're going to be on the main card, kicking it off. Alex Morono, Mickey Gall. We'll start right with you, Weezy. What are you liking for this fight?
Yeah, so, God, man. When I went back and I watched tape on Gall, it's so hard when you watch the Mike Perry fight and then the Diego Sanchez fight. My God, dude, he didn't even have 5 minutes of conditioning in the Diego Sanchez fight, and then he tells us that he had liver failure. It's like I didn't know they let you fight when you had fucking liver failure, did they? I mean, Jared Vandera got they didn't even let him fight because he was 6 months off a concussion. I mean, like so. Did Mickey Gall have liver failure, or did he have maybe the most contemptible conditioning we've ever seen in a fight since Gadzim Murad Antigulov? So I don't know what to think here about Mickey Gall. He's very dangerous early. The Perry fight was so weird because if you listen to everybody breaking down the Perry Gall fight before it happened, Perry was going to be the better striker and Gall was going to be the better grappler. And what do we see? We saw Gall dominate the striking exchanges and Mike Perry win minutes on the ground. So both of these guys were evolving at that time. Perry was evolving his grappling game. Mickey Gall's been growing up before our eyes in the UFC. He came into the UFC with one professional fight. He's got 10 professional fights and 9 of them have been at the UFC level. So while it seems like the line is a little bit wide here at plus 210 for Mickey Gall, I think that Gall probably hasn't changed a whole lot. I think he'll be very explosive at the beginning of this fight, but there's not enough value on Alex Morono to bet him at minus 250 against Mickey Gall. So what I'll just say is I'm looking at Mickey Gall wins in round 1 at plus 900 on DraftKings right now. If you go back and you watch every single one of Mickey Gall's fights, he is most dangerous in round 1. Ask Jordan Williams. That's the only way to get value here on Gall. I think Morono wins the fight, but I think that if Gall does surprise us, it will be in round 1. And at plus 900, you don't have to put down a lot of money to win a unit.
There you go. Yeah, Gall round 1 plus 900 DraftKings. I also see a plus, what is that, 1150 on looks like 5 dimes as well. So yeah, going round 1 for Wheezy. Narco, what are you looking at for this fight?
Yeah, I actually have a bet on Morono at minus 220. I know Gall, looked good against Jordan Williams last fight, but I also think, and I've mentioned this before, I think Jordan Williams' chin is completely gone at 170, man. The guy, he doesn't have a chin there. I know people are saying, oh, well, Gall looks so good, and he knocked him, he hurt him real bad and then choked him out. But, man, Jordan Williams, he doesn't have a chin anymore at 170. And Morono has a hell of a chin, extremely tough, throws a lot of volume, has good cardio. I think all of these are in his favor. The only favor I would give Gall is his grappling. I think he's got better grappling skills, but Morono is not a slouch on the ground at all. So, I know Gall's gotten better, but I think Morono's just a way better fighter here, man. I know he survived against Perry, but that was the ghost of Perry, and Perry still won that fight. So let's not forget that. So just give me Morono, but at this price, I wouldn't pay minus 250 now. So if I am to take something, Morono by KO plus 420.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good spot for Morono. I kind of want to play him by decision. The only problem is, like Weezy was talking about, Gall's conditioning is very questionable. I think what I'm going to do is going to be Morono in round 3, which is interesting. I see plus 1200. Yeah, we've seen Gall slow down, plenty of times. The Diego Sanchez fight was a huge concern. I feel like if Morono would go for takedowns here, I think he'd make it look easy. But as we know, that's not something Morono does. But he does put on a pretty good pace in terms of his striking. I could see a scenario where Gall does have some success early. He starts to slow down, and then Morono getting him out of there late. So yeah, Morono 3rd round, plus 1200. I see plus 1500 in some books. I think that's how I'd look at it. Was tempted on decision, like I said, but I could see this fight finishing. So give me Morono, round 3, plus 1200. Locke, how about you? What are you liking for this fight?
Yeah, I like Morono just as much as Narco, to be honest. I think he cruises in this fight. There is that danger in that first round, obviously, from Mickey Gall. I think that's a great hedge opportunity for anybody that likes to hedge. Plus 900 on round 1 is ridiculous, just because of how explosive he is early. I don't know how, sure, he's made improvements in his striking. The guy can crack for sure, but I believe Narco was the one that alluded to it, right? It looked like Jordan Williams was just so fragile at that 170-pound weight class that was more so the reasoning as to why he got dropped. It never looked the same after that, which is why I think that Gall was able to snatch up that rear naked choke. But let's just look at the fights that he's lost, right? He gave up 6 minutes of control time to Mike Perry. He gave up 6 minutes of control time to Diego Sanchez before getting finished. And then he gave up almost 9 minutes of control time to Randy Brown, who's a striker, right? Mickey Gall is supposed to be the BJJ guy coming into the UFC, snatch it up next and all that stuff. And that was kind of what people are touting him about. But I don't know, man. Morono's a BJJ black belt himself. He hasn't been using his takedowns much, at least up until the Reese McKee fight. But I think if he does look to take this to the ground, he can have tremendous success down there. He is durable, unless he's standing across the cage from Chaos Williams. I'd be surprised if Mickey Gall is able to put him on his butt and have success as well. So I like Morono here. I actually like Morono inside the distance, man. I think he gets Gall out of there. Morono, that guy is a fighter. He wants to go out there and he's always looking for that finish. He's always trying to advance position. I like that inside the distance line. And I think it was Weezy that mentioned the round 3 prop as well. I'm going to be going on that too. I already got some money on that at plus 1500. I think that's a great spot as well. So yeah, Gall, if he has fallen too much in love with the striking, that could potentially gas him a little bit later in this fight, especially with that kind of being a secondary mixed martial arts style. And he probably got a ton of confidence, hurting Jordan Williams the way that he did, and he's going to try to go out there and replicate that. But Morono is just such a tough out, and I'd be surprised if he actually gets him out of there. Hence why the line is like plus 900, right? Like that's why it's a little bit crazy for him to actually get that finish. But yeah, I like Morono here. Morono inside the distance. And I did actually end up parlaying him with Smolka as well. I got about 4 units on that parlay there because I feel very confident about both of those guys in this spot.
Sounds good to me. I like it. I think your parlay does hit there. Somebody in the chat brings up an interesting point.
Yeah.
A fight doesn't go to decision is sitting at plus 130. I think that's kind of interesting. We talk about how Gall is very dangerous early, does slow down, and I could see Morono finishing late. Yeah, I think the fight doesn't go. Earlier in the week, I was kind of on the fight goes, but now after looking into it more, I think the fight doesn't go isn't the worst play in the world, especially at plus 130. We'll keep moving on to the next fight, though. We have Brendan Allen going against Chris Curtis. We'll start with you, Narco Cop. What do you like for this fight here?
I mean, I just love Brendan Allen in general. I really like the guy. I really like his improvements after he's moved down to Sanford. For me, Allen by decision plus 155 is a pretty good spot where you get a minus 360 guy at plus money. Just because Curtis is extremely, extremely durable, man. 35 fights. It's only been stopped once. The guy that stopped him obviously hits like a truck, but, the guy's just really durable. I mean, Ray Cooper's the only guy to stop this guy. And, he has power. Brendan Allen does get hit, but we saw Puna land some huge punches on Allen, and he took them really, really well. So, Allen's a dog, man. I really like this guy. I think he's coming up for a lot of these guys. And I think when he fights Strickland, I think it's if and when he fights Strickland. I think he's going to beat Strickland in their fight. Mm-hmm. So I really like Allen. I like his kicking game. He's implementing that a lot, and just the improvements he's showing in Sanford. The guy has good cardio, has a good ground game. And the one thing that he was lacking was that striking, and now it's looking so much better. So, Allen, plus 150, 155 range, by decision against a guy in Chris Curtis who's extremely durable and extremely tough. But, we saw that first, 3-4 minutes, he was absolutely getting pieced up by Haas before, he caught Haas, the guy doesn't have a really good chin. We're talking about Allen, who really does have a good chin. So, the one thing I would say is if you are playing the Allen side, maybe you could take a shot with Curtis KO, because I don't think Curtis wins any minutes in this fight.
Yep. Yeah, this is actually really interesting. I don't know why they're doing this. Oh, never mind. That's Allen by KO. I thought Curtis by KO was like plus 900, but no, it's plus 480. Yep, I totally agree. Locke, I'll let you break this down, and then you're gonna head out here, and then after you break this down, kind of give a quick pick for the last I think it's like last 5 fights.
Yeah, for sure. I like Brendan Allen a lot here. You guys pretty much nailed it here. I think Chris Curtis is riding a little bit too high on that Phil Haas win, up a weight class. Now here he is again going up a weight class at middleweight, taking on Brendan Allen, who is going to obviously be the bigger guy here. We saw great body kicks from Brendan Allen last time against Punahale, right? That was a very solid performance from him, sort of leveling up in the striking game as well. But we know his bread and butter is the ground, and I do think that this fight plays out similarly to the Magomed Karamov fights for Chris Curtis, where Karamov was able to keep him on the outside with some kicks, and then if they did get tied up and it got a little bit too close for comfort for Magomed, he was able to take that fight to the ground and really grind him out from there. And I think that Allen should be able to do the same thing. Historically speaking, Allen is quite durable outside of that Sean Strickland fight, but I feel like Sean Strickland is a much better striker than what Chris Curtis brings to the table, way more versatile in terms of kicks and punches and all that, compared to Chris being more so of a just a boxer, in my opinion. Sure, he can kick, but his bread and butter is finding that knockout blow with his hands. But yeah, I like Allen. I like Allen by decision. I think Curtis is quite durable, and I think we'll see this go the full 15, whether it's him grinding him out, whether it's him kind of just picking you apart from the outside. I like Allen by decision. In terms of the rest of the card, well, what do we got now? Because Guida and Santos. I like Santos inside the distance. I think he club and subs Guida here, probably first or second round. I think that's a decent spot. I never really advise betting, a 42-year-old guy here, but when his opponent is also 40 years old, or 4 days shy of being 40 years old, you can kind of throw that narrative outside the window. So I do like Leonardo Santos here. Thinks he gets it done. Jimmy Crute, Jamal Hill. We were talking about this earlier with the Brian Barberena fight, a possible market overcorrection on Jamal Hill after he accepted getting into guard with Paul Craig and then getting his arm snapped. Now everybody believes that Jimmy Crute's going to be able to take him down and do the same thing. I have question marks about Jimmy Crute's takedown game, but if he can get this fight to the ground, I think it will be one-way traffic. I think Jamal Hill is one of those guys that benefits from being the long, athletic, explosive guy, and it helped him out on the regional scene. But once he gets to the big show, he's going to be fighting guys that are technically way better than him, and Crute, in my opinion, will be way better than him if this fight hits the ground. So I like Crute by submission. Fiziev and Riddell, phenomenal fight. I'm actually on the Riddell side here. I got one unit at plus 110. He does dig himself into a hole in those first rounds, but in the second and third round, he usually comes on pretty strong. And Fiziev, normally starts to taper off a little bit. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this fight plays out, specifically in that second round. And if we actually see a momentum swing the way that I think that we're going to see. I actually even played a little bit of Riddell in round 3 plus 1800. We saw Fiziev getting touched up a little bit by Bobby Green last time around. Now you got Brad Riddell, who hits like a freaking truck, and we've seen him hurt multiple opponents in that last round as well. I think there is a chance and an opportunity for him to potentially finish Fiziev late, who we've also seen starched in the past as well. And then in terms of the main event, I can't bet against Jose Aldo, but I can't confidently pick him in a 5-round fight here either, considering what we've been seeing from him in 5-round fights. Rob Font is, far removed from a Max Holloway or a Pierre de Jan in terms of picking up his pace as the fight goes on. But statistically speaking, in his last couple fights, I believe he has been picking it up as the round is going on, but his strikes just probably are not as devastating as what Max Holloway and Pierre de Jan are able to throw out there. I like Font. I like Font by decision if he sticks behind that jab and he doesn't get intimidated by the mythological beast that is Jose Aldo across from him. And this could be a coming out party for Rob Font, but I'm not investing minus 140 at this point in time to find out, because Jose could, there's so many times where we've written him off. The Jeremy Stevens fight, he was the freaking underdog in that fight, and he goes out there and starches him with a beautiful body shot. So I like Rob Font. No money on that fight. I see it going to a decision, and I'm going to go with the Rob Font side.
Sounds good. Perfect, Lock. Getting you out here right at 6:30. Let everybody in the chat know where they can find you and what you have going on throughout the next couple of weeks before our break.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you having me on. As always appreciate the invite. I know we're supposed to do it for the Vieira and Tate card, that I totally forgot that I had a regional MMA show that I went out to, so I apologize for that. But in terms of myself, you guys can pretty much follow me at MMA LLTN on all social media platforms, and that includes YouTube as well. Thursday nights I do the Propping You Up show with Cody Saftik for the pay-per-view events, and then my guy John Stargarian from the Club and Sub podcast. We do that Thursday evenings. Friday evenings, obviously the Ultimate Weigh-In show, where we're bringing in the coaches, the fighters. We're trying to do our best to try to give you guys some inside tips and knowledge about some of the fighters that are going to be competing. Shout out to Mark Montoya, who came on yesterday. I got something in the works for this coming weekend for UFC 269, and I can't wait to share with you guys once I'm able to confirm that. That's Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, the MMA Lawcast, which usually comes out sometime between Monday and Wednesday on my YouTube channel. And Brady, once again, appreciate you having me on. Wheezy, I love you shit. Narco, I love you as well. Whenever you guys want to have me on, just shoot me a DM and I'll try to get on with you guys as well.
For sure. Thanks, Lock, for coming on. Have a good card. Let's make some money.
Thanks, Lock.
Likewise, guys. Good luck, everybody.
Take care.
All right. There he is. Shout out to Locke. Shout out to the Tape Index. I don't know what I would do without it. But yeah, we'll get back to it. Before we do so, if you guys can please hit the like, that'd be much, much appreciated. Also subscribe to the channel. We have Brendan Allen, Chris Curtis, Narco gave his breakdown. For me, I totally agree. I think Brendan Allen by decision is decent. I'm just going to go Brendan Allen as a parlay piece here. I do have him in a parlay personally. I think I parlayed him at like minus 340. He's now minus 315. I think it's a good fight for him. He's going to have a massive size advantage. He's going to have a massive grappling advantage if he does decide to use it. And I think he's going to have a striking advantage. I think if Chris Curtis does win, I think it's by knockout. So if you do like Chris Curtis, this is what I'd be playing. Plus 480 by Chris Curtis by knockout. But, Allen is very tough. He is very durable. I think Allen does probably cruise to a decision here. But I'm going to take him as a parlay piece here at minus 315. Wheezy, how about you? What do you like for this fight?
Same thing. Allen by decision for me too. I think that's the best way to get value on it. Just to echo what Narco Cop was saying earlier, Chris Curtis has lost 8 fights. 2 of them have been inside the distance, one by submission many, many years ago. And then he talked about the Ray Cooper knockout. What a lot of people don't talk about in the Ray Cooper knockout is that was the second time that Curtis had fought that night. So, that's how hard it is to finish this guy. Either it was done by submission at the very beginning of his career, or, it's got to be his 4th or 5th round that day and be fighting a killer like Ray Cooper. So I really do like Curtis to be able to last the full 3 rounds against Brendan Allen here, even though I do think Brendan Allen wins the fight. At minus 350, there's not a lot of value there, but at plus 150 by decision, I think I'd rather just bank on Curtis being durable enough to last the full 3 rounds. And then that way, if Allen does win, you're getting plus money. You don't have to put 3.5 units down to win 1. You could put, 0.67 units down to win 1. So you can really reduce your exposure to get what should be the same result, which is a Brendan Allen win by decision.
Yep, definitely does make sense to me. We'll keep moving on. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 fights left. So next we have Clay Guida, Leonardo Santos. We'll start with you, Narco Cop. What do you like for this fight here?
Locke mentioned something about Santos. He's 42 and Guida's 40. But man, Santos has not looked bad at all lately. I know he lost to Dawson, but Dawson's strung so many wins in a row. One of the top guys in the division now, slowly moving up. And you got a guy in Guida, man, that looked absolutely horrendous against Mark Madsen, to be honest. He was getting outstruck by a guy that has no idea how to strike. Now you got a guy in Santos, who I just think is better than Guida everywhere, man. Like, the guy reeled off, before his last loss, he reeled off 6 wins in a row, fighting, a decent competition. And I just think Santos is better everywhere, the much bigger guy. Santos by submission, plus 500 is where I'm going as my best bet here, though.
Ooh, Santos by submission. I like it. Yep. For me, I'm probably just gonna take the Santos money line here. I mean, I feel like the opener was more so correct, minus 260. I mean, that feels more right than like minus 211. I did personally bet it at minus 165 on DK Sportsbook a couple days ago. Not sure why the line was there, but yeah, like you mentioned, Narco, I think he's going to have so many advantages in this fight. He's going to have a massive height advantage. We saw at the weigh-ins. He's going to have a massive reach advantage. He's going to have a massive striking advantage. A lot of people aren't talking about this, but yeah, like you said, getting outstruck by Mark Madsen in all 3 rounds, that is a huge, huge concern. Because Santos is actually a very good striker, a lot better striker than Mark Madsen. And Mark Madsen was somebody that we said, this guy has terrible cardio, and he does, but he was able to go 3 rounds with Guida, no problem. I guess the only concern of this fight for me is the cardio of Santos. But I think at the very least, I think he's going to bang 2 rounds. But honestly, I don't even think we're going to have to worry about it. I think Santos does finish Guida early, probably in the first round. A lot of people aren't talking about this as well, but Santos, prior to the Dawson loss, who's, like you said, a very good fighter, the last time Santos lost officially was in 2009. And I know he hasn't been, very active throughout his career, but that's just crazy to think about. And if that Dawson fight never happened, or if he was somehow to beat Dawson, I think this line would be nuts. So I think we're getting a nice discount on Santos. I know he's 41, but Guida's turning 40 in a couple days here. And Guida's also had like over double the fights as well. So yeah, I like Santos. I think this price tag is very solid, even where it's at now, minus 200, minus 211. So my best bet's going to be the Santos money line. Wheezy, how about you? What do you like in here?
Yeah, I got Santos down as my ass shaving of the week here. Look, this is not about age. A lot of people say, oh, well, Santos is 41 and Clay's almost 40. Well, this has nothing to do with that. You don't want to know what this is about? This is about Leonardo Santos having 185 minutes of professional cage time. And Clay Guida, at the 1 round mark of this fight, is going to be over 550 minutes in the professional cage. Almost 10. He'll be in the 9th hour of his life in this cage, getting his ass beat. The miles on Clay Guida is what the big difference here is between Santos and Guida. We're talking 400, almost 400 more minutes in the professional cage. And then Santos is 5 inches taller. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage. He's got way more power on the feet. He's got better striking. And the Brazilian jiu-jitsu is world class. And I think that's when Clay Guida's at his best, because Clay's very hard to hit. He's got 63% striking defense over a 31-fight UFC sample size. So the guy is very difficult to hit. But also, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat, because he's only got 33% striking accuracy as well. So it's not like Guida's a big minute winner on the feet here. But, we see that Santos is a lot more accurate on the feet. He's almost as good defensively on the feet. And he's showing a little bit more power as well. But when Guida's at his best is when he can mix in the wrestling to help him win the minutes that he's not winning on the feet. You're not going to wrestle Leonardo Santos. And Clay Guida's game has never been that he's going to push you up against the cage and hold you there for 15 minutes. That's never been his game. He's not even big enough to do that to Santos. So I don't see where Clay Guida wins this fight outside of Santos death gassing in the third and giving up. So, yeah, I've got 3.3 units at minus 165 on the Santos money line. I like the Santos money line all the way up to minus 200.
Brady, one more thing to add. I didn't mention it, but Guida's been subbed 8 times in his career out of the 21 losses. I didn't mention that. And the other thing that I also wanted to say is I lost my train. I'll get back to you in a second.
Career 8 losses by submission for Clay Guida, and Leonardo Santos has finished 50% of his pro wins by submission and is a 5-time world Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion. So, that's also another bad set of stats there for Guida.
And if Guida's to have success, like to land takedowns, like that's the other thing I want to say. Santos has superb takedown defense, man. Grant Dawson went 1 for 12 against this guy. So Grant Dawson is an extremely good wrestler, and he had a very, very tough time taking this guy down. Clay Guida's in big trouble in this fight. Unless Santos just dies gassing, I just don't see how he loses this fight.
Yep,
there are two guys on this card, you guys, that have amazing takedown defense. Jose Aldo and Leonardo Santos, both over 89% takedown defense in a massive sample size of fights at the highest level. So, yeah, very good takedown defense for Santos.
For sure. Looks like we're all on the same page here. What is Clay Guida's path to victory? Is he going to go out there and outstrike Leonardo Santos? No, he couldn't outstrike Mark Madsen. Is he going to take down Leonardo Santos? If he does, he's getting subbed. But like you said, he's the 89% takedown defense. I don't see a path to victory outside of, like you guys said, gassing out. So hopefully, at the very least, bank those first 2 rounds. Maybe the third round sketchy, but I think he does finish Clay here. Moving on, 3 fights left. Probably one of the most intriguing fights on the card here. Jimmy Crute, Jamal Hill. See a lot of people on both sides. Curious to hear your guys' thoughts here. We'll start with you, Narco. What do you like over this fight here?
For me here, I just think Crute has a huge ground advantage, grappling advantage against Jamal Hill. Getting submission at plus 300, I think with Jimmy Crute is a good price. It's kind of late because you could have got it earlier, like in the 400s earlier in the week. The other thing I want to mention is, the way Jamal Hill lost last fight and is, getting his arm literally almost snapped off is going to be him like thinking twice when he gets taken down. I just think he's going to put himself in bad positions, overthinking spots and stuff like that. And he's not a good grappler to begin with. And Jimmy Crute is a really good grappler on the ground. However, I will say that if this fight starts to extend, I think Jamal Hill is probably a good live spot to jump on him, because I think Jimmy Crute, he's going to land his takedowns probably early. That's where he's going to have his success. The later this fight goes, the more it favors Hill.
Yep, definitely makes sense to me. I think Crute's going to have a lot of success early. Wheezy, how about you? What do you like for this fight, Hill Crute?
God, man, this is one. I swore to God I'd never bet Crute again after the Smith fiasco, and here I am. I bet Crute again, man. So here we are. This is going to be your Uncle Wheezy throwing shit at his TV, screaming at Jimmy Crute, take this guy down for the love of Jah. And I pray to Jah that he smiles down upon us today, gives Jimmy Crute the requisite fight IQ to do what he needs to do in order to make this fight easy. If Jimmy Crute wants 2 checks tonight and not just 1, he needs to wrestle early and often. Pull guard if you have to. Look at it work for Paul Craig. Jamal Hill has had wins because he's fought guys that have notoriously low fight IQ. Ovin St. Preux, Klidson Abreu back-to-back. It doesn't get any worse than that. A Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion in Klidson Abreu who never tries the takedown. A guy in Ovin St. Preux who has dominating top control, gets shoulder chokes on everybody that tries a guillotine on him. And what does St. Preux do? He boxes with them and gets his ass beat. When Jamal Hill's got fantastic conditioning, and he puts a pace on people when you allow him to be comfortable, when you allow him to strike at range. And when he starts letting his hands go, man, is he scary. But at the same time, he leaves his chin way up in the air. I mean, he is not good defensively. We're going to be surprised one time when Jamal Hill comes in here and he gets knocked out by somebody that's not as good of a striker as him because he leaves his chin so high up in the air. He's there to be hit. So I think that this fight could actually be closer than people think on the feet because of Jamal Hill's poor striking defense. It's only at 45%, you guys. That's not good. So I like Crute quite a bit here. Crute's 12 of 15 on his UFC takedown attempts for an 80% takedown percentage, 4.97 takedowns per 15 minutes. And these fights are taking place in control time positions at about 56% of his UFC cage time. So you got to believe that Crute has the skill set to run the kind of game plan that can make this an easy fight for him. So it's the Jimmy Crute money line for me. And I also have a third of a unit on the Jimmy Crute sub prop at plus 300.
Sounds good. Yeah, looks like we're all three on the same page. I do like Crute here. I did bet him as well at that minus 172 line where he currently is at. Yeah, I think it's a fight where, like Sosa's saying in the chat, if Crute comes out here and fights smart, I think he wins. I think he wins pretty convincingly. 80% takedown rate, like accuracy, like that's phenomenal. Averaging 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. The wrestling's there. The grappling is phenomenal. I mean, not many people go out there and submit Paul Craig. He did. So yeah, I think there's just a huge advantage on the mat. And then, like you're saying, Weezy, like on the feet, I favor Hill. He's going to have the reach advantage, the volume advantage. Maybe Crute's not that great defensively in his own right, but Crute is very, very hittable. 45% strike and defense, chin up in the air. It would not completely shock me if Crute knocked this guy out like he knocked out Modestus. But yeah, easiest path to victory. Crute, take this guy down, get him out of there. I think Crute submits Jamal Hill here. If he does not get him out of there in the first or second round, I feel like it could get sketchy down the stretch, but I think Crute does finish early. I'm going to take the Crute money line, minus 172 here. All right. 2 fights left, co-main and main event. Rafael Fiziev, Brad Riddell. We'll start with you, Narco. You liking anything on this fight?
Man, the more I hear and read, like everybody and their mothers is on Riddell in this fight. And I just can't pull the trigger on any of these guys. I just think it's such a close fight. On the feet, I think Fiziev is a little more explosive, has the better kicks. But I do think Riddell has the better cardio. It's just, man, it's extremely close. I don't think, some people are saying, oh, Riddell's not landing takedowns against Fiziev. I don't think so, man. Fiziev has extremely good takedown defense. I think he's never been taken down, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right, Narco Cop, 100% takedown.
Yeah,
I 19 takedown attempts too. So
yeah, I doubt Riddell. I know some people mention, oh, Riddell can turn to wrestling. I doubt Riddell is going to be able to take this dude down. Yeah, he took down Dober, but Dober has nothing. Dober's good wrestling wise, but he gets taken down very easily. So, I just think this fight is a stand-up fight. It's a close fight because both guys are really good strikers. I do think Fiziev has the power advantage, but again, the cardio is what I'm concerned of with Fiziev. So, I'm just staying away, to be honest, but gun to my head, I'd probably take plus money on Riddell, I guess, or, I'm just honestly, it's a coin flip for me, and it's such a close fight. I'd just rather just watch it. It's going to be a great fight.
Asana saying Crute in an interview said he's going to knock out Hill. Can I send the link to the send it to my Twitter, DFS_numbers. But if he said that, then that's not good. Weezy's yeah, that's not good. Hopefully he's trolling though.
No, God damn it, no. Fuck.
That's not good. That's not what we like to hear.
Oh,
but
God.
He's got to be trolling. Like, he's got to be trolling.
Oh boy. All right. Well, so is it me now that my day's been fucking ruined? What's the line on fucking Hill?
I'll let
I gotta hedge out. Okay. So Damn it, whoever just said that in the chat, you've ruined my day. I'm not betting on this fight. This is a great fight between two elite strikers. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna enjoy it. But I don't think either one of them is getting knocked out. So if you put a gun to my head, I think the way that I would bet it is just say fight goes to decision at -177 on Bet Rivers right now. That would probably be the way I'd go here. I don't think either. I think they're both good enough kickboxers that the other one's not going to knock them out. Neither one of these guys are submitting the other one. So I would just bet fight doesn't go. But, frankly, I'm just going to be sitting back, really just enjoying two elite strikers do their thing in the cage here. And I'm just going to sit back. My man James Ward, say Word, said it in the chat. He's going to enjoy it as a, as a fan.
Yeah, Jay's saying he said he's going to sub him. The other guy is just trolling. Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
I think he might have been just trying to send me a link on here, me click on it, and it's something like, I don't know, something crazy. So, yeah, there's no way he'd say that, right? Like, that'd be dumb.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah. So I think you're okay, Wheezy. I think we're okay. So
Wheezy, he meant KO by ground and pound. He didn't.
Let's hope,
Narco
Cop. My God, you guys, I'm not gonna be in good shape tomorrow if Crute fucking boxes this guy and tries to knock him out.
Oh yeah, it'll be hard to watch. But back to this fight. For me, it's gonna be the fight goes to decision. I see it at -196. I don't love it. I would have liked it better at the opener, like -164. Both guys are very, very, very tough. I see it being close. I see it being competitive. I see this fight being a pick'em. I don't have one strong lean either way. I don't even have a strong lean on the fight doesn't go to, or fight goes to decision on the over. But if I was forced to play something, it probably would be that. Over 2.5 rounds, -220. Fight goes to decision, -185. I think that's kind of where I'd look there. But yeah, not a ton of confidence in that. Main event time, though. We have Rob Font, Jose Aldo. Should be a very, very fun main event. We will start with you, Weezy. What do you like over this main event here?
Yeah, another one that I don't have any action on, and I've been bouncing back and forth between liking the plus money on Aldo and then just thinking pay up for the juice on Font. This is going to be a real close fight. Two fantastic strikers doing their thing. I like the over 4.5 at -140 right now on Bet Online would probably be the way that I would bet this one because I'm having such a hard time picking who's going to win this fight. I think if you look at the stats, Monk said it earlier in the chat that, he said, don't bet Jose Aldo. And when you look at the striking stats, Font lands about 2 more significant strikes per minute than he absorbs, while Jose Aldo actually absorbs more strikes per minute than he lands. So it would appear that Font has had more knockdowns in his UFC career, had a higher knockdown percentage. He's got better striking ratios. He throws more volume. So he should be the minute winner on the feet here. But I don't think he's knocking out Jose Aldo. And I don't think Jose Aldo is going to knock out Rob Font. So I think over 4.5 is probably the way to go here. But if you put a gun to my head and told me to pick a side, I'd take the plus 128 on Jose Aldo that's available right now on FanDuel.
Sorry, what was that?
I said I would go. My bet's going to be the over 4.5 rounds at -140, but I also kind of like plus 128 on the Jose Aldo money line available on FanDuel.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I wasn't able to listen to your breakdown. I got the link for the interview. He was nice enough to timestamp it for me. Got right to it, and Crute said, "I'm going to knock him out." And then he was talking about the defensive liabilities of Hill. He said, "I'm going to take him down if I need to," but he said he's going to put him out.
Yeah, I mean, and I've heard other people say that Crute said that he was going to take him down and submit him. He was going to take, like, people that were close to Crute were saying that. And then I bet it, and I was like, watch him fucking try to knock this guy out. So now, as soon as Uncle Weezy put that money on Jimmy Crute, he's a boxer now. You might want to be shorting me. I think the safe money's on Hill because I'm fucked.
Man, we'll see what happens. I'm so looking forward to that fight, especially now. I hope he wrestles. But even if he doesn't, I feel like he can make it a lot closer than we think on the feet. Narco, are you liking anything for this main event here?
Yeah. Some people were talking about how Aldo, has his cardio is overblown, or they're looking too much into it and stuff like that. He's been 5 rounds many times. yes, all of that is true. He's been 5-round many times, but that was at 145. Okay. And we know it's a tough cut for him at 135. The one time we saw him go 5 rounds, he was dead tired in the third and then eventually got stopped. I know Peter Yan is a different beast than Font, and I agree. But Font lately has been throwing a ton of volume, and he is going to throw a ton of volume here. You know, people are also mentioning how Aldo can throw, you know, the calf kick, which he has really, really good calf kicks, but in turn, that takes a lot of energy out of him. So you don't see him doing that very often because he knows that he doesn't have very good cardio at 135. And in a 5-round fight, if this was 3 rounds, I would put a lot of money on Jose Aldo. But because this is 5 rounds, I like Font. I have a bet on Font. And I do love those later round props with Font because his cardio is good later in the fight and he throws a ton of volume late. And, you know, he went for it against, in his last fight, he tried to stop him later in the fight because he was throwing a ton of stuff against Garbrandt late. And I think if he does that here against Aldo, I think he's going to stop Aldo late. And, you know, getting, you know, plus 1,500, 1,700, plus 2,200, you know, 3, 4, 5 is the way I'm going to play it. And I also have a straight bet on Rob Font.
Yeah, it looks like we're on the same page here. Yeah, I mean, I like Rob Font here. I'm not going to bet it. But what kind of does stick out is that over 3.5 rounds, because like you're saying, Narco, I don't think there's a finish early. I think it's going to be more so like a 4 or 5 finish, if anything. I could even see it going to decision. So yeah, over 3.5, minus 165. I think that is solid now, minus 170. Doesn't really show what it is on DraftKings, but would be curious to see what they have it at. But yeah, I think that's kind of where I'd look. I think I'm going to stay away from it from a money line perspective, but I'm kind of digging the over there. But yeah, guys, we did it. Went through all 13 fights. We have about 5 minutes left, so that gives us time to let everybody know where they can find us and what we have going on through the next couple of weeks before our break we have. So Weezy, let them where they can find you and what you have going on for the next couple of weeks here.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on my YouTube channel, which is Uncle Weezy, and I'm at MMA Weezy on Twitter. On my YouTube channel, I do a full card breakdown every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Central, called Just the Tip. And I do balls deep breakdowns of fights on Wednesdays usually. I've got my YouTube channel just got its 900th subscriber today, right before the show started today. So I'd like to thank everybody that's been, you know, watching my videos, subscribing to my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Narco Cop, Brady, always great to chop it up with you guys. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks today, man. I want to make some money.
Yes, sir. Yeah, go check out Weezy. He's trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the year does end. Go help him out there. Asana is saying, I want to put him away. I want to put him away at his own game, Crute, and he did say that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Narco, where can they find you? What do you have going on the next couple weeks?
Well, before I go into that, Hill by KO round 1 is looking better and better. I'm sorry, Uncle Weezy. But yeah, guys, first of all, thank you to everybody in chat. You guys are awesome. You guys make these pods what they are. You guys can find me on Twitter at NarcoCop. My YouTube channel is NarcoCop MMA. I usually have a Friday podcast called the Lambo Plays Podcast, where we give you plus 300 plays or better on every single fight. I didn't have one this week. A lot of busy and crazy family things going on, but I will have one next week for the card, and then we have 3 weeks off. And then starting the new year, I will have a lot more going on with other stuff like Bellator and PFL and stuff like that. But again, thank you to Brady. Thank you to Uncle Weezy for having me on.
No, for sure. Thank you, Narco. Go check him out, guys. Go check out his content. Does a great job over there. Yeah, thank you, Easy. Thank you, Narco. Thank you, Lock of the Night, coming on as well. I thought it was a fun show. And thank everybody in the chat. If you guys can please leave a like on the channel, subscribe on your way out, turn on the post notification bell. Me, Weezy, Narco, and another guest go live every Saturday, usually 1 hour prior to the prelims. We went an hour and a half early this time, and I think we're going to go an hour and a half early for next card as well, because next card looks like we have 15 fights at the moment. So that's what it, guys. Let's make some money. Let's finish the year strong, and we'll see you back very soon. Good luck for UFC Vegas 44. Let's get